a quick explanation of the difference between mixing and mastering. Nobody seems to really get into it. Hey, this is Evan Jaffe with Custom Cut Studios. I just want to give you a quick explanation of the difference between mixing and mastering. Now, mixing is a process that is totally different than mastering, okay? So the first thing you got to know is mixing deals with all the individual parts of the song. That means when you went to that recording studio to record your song, you laid down a lead vocal, then a backup vocal, then you doubled the backup vocal, then maybe you sang another harmony and you sang a double to the harmony. So all those tracks that you recorded all need to be delivered to whoever's going to mix the song. So that means every harmony vocal, every double, every lead vocal, all those pieces were recorded, and they're all separate on separate faders. Like, you see the faders behind me? Separate faders. Every fader gets its own track, its own sound, its own, like, every fader has its own instrument on it. You know, so if you got a drum set with 12 mics for the drums, a lot of people record drums with a lot of microphones. You could have kick in, kick out, snare top, snare bottom. I'm referring to a mic on the front of the kick, a mic on the back of the kick, a mic on the top of the snare, a mic on the bottom of the snare. That's just for the kick and the snare. You got a whole rest of a drum kit you're going to be miking up. And I'm already talking about 4 different tracks, 4 different faders with 4 different microphones dedicated to each fader being recorded. So each one of those tracks, kick in, kick out, snare top, snare bottom, that's all got to be sent to me or whoever's mixing the song. But that's what you need for mixing. You need all the pieces. For mastering, it's a different thing altogether. All right, mastering is another step in the process. You need both. You need both mixing and mastering to be able to compete with the pro stuff that all has that done to it. All right, so that's mixing. Now, mastering is something different. With mastering, you're dealing with the final mix is a stereo file. That's one stereo track. So the same way we're talking about faders for each instrument, everything, all those instruments have been put together already onto one stereo track. And that is what you give a mastering engineer. And the mastering engineer's job is just to take that file and improve it in whatever ways he or she can using the tools that we have that are only going to treat that whole file. It's only going to treat that one stereo file as a whole. So we can't do things like lower a backup vocal only without also affecting frequencies that also cross over into that range. You know, it's not going to be possible during mastering. That's the kind of thing that gets adjusted during mixing when you have control over every individual piece of the song. In mastering, you don't have that control. So what you're going to do in mastering is little tweaks, maybe some frequency range in, let's say between 500 and 700 hertz. When you bump it, it just feels warmer, and the song all of a sudden now has more of a bump because that is what it needed. Okay, so you do that during mastering, but we're talking about a very minuscule change. A little bit, a dB or two. Not much, but less than a dB. A mastering engineer's job is very, it's the opposite of heavy-handed. It's light-handed. It's, picture some dainty-ass little hands. That's what we're talking about. Light-ass-handed, all right? Not heavy-handed. So mixing, you can be heavy-handed as hell. Because that's kind of what mixing is. When you're mixing, you're deciding what the listening experience is going to be for whoever's listening to that song. Because you can decide that I want the damn kick drum to be the lead vocal of this song. I want the kick drum to be front and center, louder than everything, right in your face. I don't want to be able to hear nothing but the damn kick drum. You could decide that in mixing. You can't decide that in mastering. So just that right there should give you an idea of how much control you have during mixing compared to mastering. Mixing takes way longer. It is way more of something where you can impart creative control over the final sound of the product. It's extremely important. It's probably the most important step next to the tracking process, which also needs to be done really, really well at a pro level in order to get tracks that sound pro. So if you want pro, you need all 3 steps to be done fire. It's got to be tracked pro, it's got to be mixed pro, it's got to be mastered pro. All right, now if we want to get into even before the tracking process, the damn song's got to be pro. Got to be great songs. So great songs, mixed well. Great songs, tracked well, mixed well, mastered well. That's the process. All right, any questions? Feel free, leave them in the comments. Do me a favor, jab your elbow at the like button, and do a little dingle dongle, and dance over to the subscribe button one time. And if you like this video, there's going to be probably more coming with some explanations on what the hell we're doing over here. So you need more explanations of complicated shit that nobody's really explaining, especially in a way like this for normal people to understand. Then this is the place to find it. So I'll speak to you soon. Evan Jaffe, take it easy.